Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make an absolutely simple and scrumptiously delicious dressing for your turkey, your chicken, duck, anything that you want to kind of add a side dish to. This will be a perfect solution. This dish here is not to be mistaken with stuffing. I used to be into stuffing, not that much anymore. Dressing is what you bake beside what you're serving. It's not something that actually cooks inside, for example, your turkey cavity or your chicken or anything else. This recipe is loosely based on Tyler Florence's version, except mine's a little more kicked up and I've kind of tweaked it a little bit more for my taste, and I hope you enjoy this as well. I've got 3 pork sausages. I'm using 3 for this recipe, although it calls for 4. These are a little bit on the bigger side, so that's why I'm using 3. And by the way, you can use any kind of sausage you want. You can use pork, you can use beef, chicken, turkey, smoked sausage, spicy sausage, whatever you like. In the rules of the kitchen for me and for you, I hope, sanitation is key. I'm using my trusty acrylic meat cutting board while I'm doing my work on the sausage, because it is raw pork, with a different knife than what I'm going to use to chop up my veggies. And what you're going to do is very carefully just open up the casing just like this and pull off the meat, or pull out the meat from inside. That way you're just left and you're going to get rid of the casings. We don't really need them for this recipe. And again, I'm going to do the same for the other 2 sausages. You're just going to score it lightly with a really sharp blade. All right, so now that our casings have been removed, I'm going to take some butter and put that in my pan. Actually, quite a bit of butter, but that's fine. It's a holiday recipe, so that's totally cool. And what you're going to do is just very simply break up your sausage in your pot. So just throw that in there. Make it all nice and happy. Move that around and get that off browning. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of this cutting board, as well as wash my hands, and I'll be right back. Now we're just going to give our sausage a little bit of a stir just to get it moving around in the pan here, or the pot. And this is kind of a very good dish to make as well, because really it's a one-pot meal. You kind of put everything together in one here and kind of put it off into a roasting pan after. Next step, our veggies. What I'm going to do is, I've already got some pre-sliced chestnuts here. Throw them into my food processor. They go in there just like that. A couple of onions. You want to go a little heavier on the onion flavor, so those go in as well. Can have stuffing or dressing in this case without sage, and in this case I'm using just a small bunch of sage. And carrots. I'm going to cut these up into small pieces for the sake of my food processor, and then just put them all in there and do them all up in one shot. A little salt goes in, a little dried rosemary, some minced garlic. You're looking at about 2 or 3 cloves of the garlic, a little bit of olive oil, just to kind of lube everything up. This is actually going to almost be like a paste by the time you're done with it. So throw our lid on that and just get that going. All right, so our veggies are done in here, and I'll show you. They came out perfectly, actually. It's actually almost like a pulpy consistency, and that's what you want. You don't want any kind of huge chunks in this, but we want the essence of the flavors going into our stuffing or our dress. I keep saying that. It's actually dressing, not stuffing. So this goes into our browning sausage. Very easy so far, nothing to this. Put that off to the side and just give this a quick stir. And now all the flavors in here will just blend and incorporate. It's already starting to smell fantastic in here. Now, as our veggies and our sausage are browning off and cooking down, preheat the oven 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius, just to have that kind of going along in the background while we continue on with our dressing. Also, the truth is, my guests today are on the wimpy side, so I'm not going to actually spice this up. But at this stage of the game is when you may want to add some kick to your dressing. Some chili peppers, some sriracha sauce, something that'll kind of spice it up. Cayenne pepper works fantastic for this as well. This is when you want to do it. All right, so now our veggies and sausage are browned off nicely. They've simmered down. The next part of this is 2 cups of vegetable stock. That's going to go into our pot and into our kind of story here. Move that here out of the way. And what you're going to do is just give this a slow stir. You don't want to kind of get it moving too fast, or you're going to have this kind of slopping around all over the place. At this point, as you can see, it looks pretty runny. And this is where our bread comes in. I'm using, for this recipe, just regular, that toast bread or that Wonder Bread that's kind of pre-sliced, this stuff here. Very easy to work with. The recipe calls for 5 cups. The important thing here is to play it by ear. You don't want this too runny. So start off with 5 cups. If you need a little bit more, add a little bit more. The last thing you want is a runny dressing or something that's almost like a bread pudding. That's a no-no. That is definitely no good here, because we want that ultimately to cook down and tighten up and brown and crisp up in the oven when we bake it. As we move along now, the next part of this is our pan. For this, I'm using just a straight, one of my favorite pans, the 9x14 pan that's about 2.5 inches deep, which will work perfectly for this. So I'm just going to turn off my heat from this and take my stuffing and place it in my pan. There I go, I said stuffing again. When will I learn? Dressing. Dressing, we're making dressing today. So I'm just going to move this here and kind of spread that around. The next part of this that adds a little bit of decadence and luxury is a cup of heavy cream. You just mix that in there, just like that, and let it kind of work its magic in itself. As well as, now, in the same mixture, 2 eggs. I'm just gonna quickly break a couple of eggs here and add them as a binder, which will help tighten this dressing up. I'm gonna grab a spoon real quick and just whip this up. Perfect. That will go in there like that. Put that here and just put it all evenly, mix it all up here with your spoon or whatever you're using. This is still very hot. Now, I think this is a little too runny for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up some more bread. I'm going to add this to this because, like I said, we don't want the consistency of like a bread pudding. So I'm just going to chop up some bread and I'll be right back. While I'm mixing this up with the additional bread, I will tell you, instead of sausage, you can use ham, you can use bacon, just about anything cured. If you're Italian, you can use pancetta. Totally fine. Whatever kind of you have will totally work. I've even made this in the past with that Greek orange sausage that's pretty traditional. It gives it more of a really festive vibe because of the orange tones in the flavor, but whatever, it's still pretty good. All right, so now my dressing is in the pan. It's ready to be fired. This is going to go into a 400-degree oven for about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, depending on your oven. And once it comes out, you're looking for a golden brown crust on top, and that's going to be perfect, and it's going to be ready to go. So my dressing is done. It's been about an hour in the oven. I just took it out. It's hot as sin, so I'm not going to cut into it now because I also don't want it to kind of collapse in itself. So basically, it's done to perfection, as you can see right here, and that's really hot. But anyway, it's perfect. An hour, 400 degrees, done like dinner. That's it for this episode on how to make my ultimate dressing. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, share this, and if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Hey, if you have any requests that you want me to make, I'll be more than happy to make them for you. So until next time, I'm Ken, aka The Lazy Gourmet. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.